This video on Thymesia is sponsored by Team 17. But what is Thymesia? Well, it's a brutal action RPG with a super solid combat system that flows real saucy once all of its mechanics click into place for you. There are two main types of damage you'll be inflicting here. Your quick saber attacks or a well-timed deflect will reduce the enemy's white health bar, leaving a green wounded meter in its place. To actually finish off your opponent though, you'll need to deplete the green health gauge entirely by dealing damage with your slower claw attacks. Your claw can also be used to absorb the weapon the enemy is wielding, to be able to then conjure it for yourself. The gotta catch 'em all vibe is real because there are 21 different weapon types you can yoink from your victims to use for your own build. The battles in Thymesia have an almost rhythmic flow to them, and there's a lot more depth baked into this if you go searching for it. For example, if you acquire the step and jump talent, you would normally only be able to perform aerial attacks by correctly timing a dodge towards an oncoming critical hit, the ones where the enemy briefly flashes green. However, there is a way to manually trampoline yourself into the air if you level up the Qatar Plague weapon to rank 4, which unlocks its extended action. With that, if you double tap the input, you'll stab for 150% attack and wound damage and launch yourself into the air, which can be followed up with a saber or claw attack. To go a step and jump further, you can combine this with the extended action of the Fist Plague weapon, which allows you to activate it in the air to increase its effects, landing in a nasty 400% wound damage. Next, you should be begging to see those oncoming green critical hits, because they can be greatly used to your advantage. If you throw one of your feather darts at an enemy while they're in a critical attack animation, you'll deal a lot of wound damage and leave them briefly stunned. However, after you interrupt, you also get a buff for a few seconds that increases the animation speed of your claw charge. Normally, it takes a while to fully charge up this attack, but right after landing an interrupt, you can quickly counter with a charged claw Reave. This attack also grabs the enemy's plague weapon, so you can slam that thing right back in their face before they even break out of the initial stun. Also, if you learn the Feather Dash level 1 talent, you can double tap the Feather Dart button to instantly dash right to the target. This will let you interrupt from a pretty far distance and then close the gap and still have enough time to take advantage of the improved claw charge speed. Next, if you're trying to farm materials to upgrade your plague weapons, you can freely deactivate talents and swap them around in Thymesia. So when you set out to do this, just deactivate any 3 and put on the luck talents, which increase your drop rate. Then, using the charged claw Reave attack will give you a high chance of stripping an extra upgrade material off of them. These dudes here just happen to be wielding one of my favorite plague weapons, the Scythe. If you upgrade it enough to get its extended action, you can swing it twice, with both attacks giving health back on hit. Also, if you get your character's plague stat up to 10, you get an extra passive bonus to those healing capabilities. Even in the late game, if you land both hits of that Scythe attack, it'll pretty much top off your entire health pool, and it really doesn't cost that much energy to use. Now, another weapon type I really like is one you can get and upgrade pretty early, which is the Knife. This is great for detonating the green wound damage on enemies, dealing up to 180% claw damage in one strike. If you level it up enough for its extended action, it can be activated much faster if you initiate it right after deflecting an oncoming attack. This makes for one of the fastest and most effective ways to take care of that wounded health gauge. Since performing deflects are also a way to inflict wound damage on the target, you could adopt a purely defensive playstyle, deflecting every oncoming hit and using the knife to whittle down that accumulating wound damage. And for yet another great easy way to earn back some extra health, check out rank 1 and 2 of the Short Claw talent. This changes your claw attacks to be much quicker, and each hit will give you 1 stack of a damage boosting buff. At 5 stacks of this offensive buff, your claw attacks will start earning you back health on hit. The level 3 of the Feather Dash also helps to give you a stack of that offensive buff, along with the level 2 of the Short Dodge talent after performing perfect dodges. Combine all of those, and it's really easy to maintain the 5 stacks of the offensive buff, so you're regularly absorbing HP with your short claw combos. You could also use a singled out easier enemy as a punching bag if you don't inflict any wound damage, which lets you continually deal claw attacks until your health is fully topped off. And those were just a few of the gameplay tips I had for you today, which should hopefully help you survive Thymesia. In the realm of Souls-like games, this is honestly one of the better ones out there, and I've played darn near them all. This excels mostly because of its snappy combat that isn't all floaty and annoying with ridiculously unfair hitboxes, and its level design is solid as well, with just that right amount of twists and turns without it feeling like you're constantly lost. The build variety is on point too, with each plague weapon having multiple upgrades that either enhance their stats or entirely change how they function. There's a lot of synergies you can build with this system, and it's one of the main elements that makes Thymesia stand out. This also has a fairly in-depth potion system. Each of these can be upgraded in quantity you can carry, healing power, and ingredient slots. Ingredients will be dropped from enemies, and these can be socketed into your potions. This can increase their healing, recharge some of your energy, or provide temporary buffs. Combine all that with the talent tree, which lets you dynamically change up your build to accommodate the upcoming area or boss, and there's a lot to chew into here. Now, if Thymesia looks like your kind of game, you can grab it right now on PC through Steam using the link I have in the video description. It's also available on PlayStation 5, which is the version I'm playing in this, and on Xbox Series X or S, and there's even an online-only streamed version for the Nintendo Switch. And before I wrap this all up, a big thanks to Team 17 for sponsoring this video. I grew up playing tons of Worms Armageddon from them, so I'm glad to be working with their newer games all these years later. I'm Alex, hit me up in the comments if you want to know more about all this, and have a plague-filled rest of your day.